Hi, I'm Sam. Sam the safety duck. I've heard some kids have been causing trouble on school buses. Sometimes big trouble. So I'm here to help sort things out. What? Did I hear you say you're not troublemakers? Well, maybe you are, maybe you're not. But I've heard that behavior on some school buses looks something like this. Just one big free-for-all.
Oh, no, it is a tornado.
Did I hear everyone say, no, we're not that bad, even though it does look like fun? Well, maybe you're not that bad. But I'll bet you don't look like this, either.
Oh, Ralph, you thought about it. Thank you very much. Happy birthday.
In fact, I'll bet you don't even come close to behaving anything like this. So, if you're not super bad, and you're not super good, you must be somewhere in between. More like this, maybe. Looks familiar, eh? But there's quite a bit wrong with behavior like this. Maybe if we go over the bad points and discuss what's wrong with them, we might think twice before doing them again. Let's look at getting on a school bus first. Generally, we fool around till the bus comes. Then we crowd around the door and push and shove to get on. But crowding, pushing, and shoving doesn't succeed in getting us on the bus any faster. In fact, it only slows things down. And there's always a chance that someone might fall and get hurt, or maybe lose or break something that could be pretty expensive to replace. So, if we all lined up on the sidewalk or shoulder of the road as soon as we saw the bus coming, then got on one at a time, things would be a lot quicker and safer too. We'd get to school sooner, and we'd spend less time on the bus. Now, I'm not a dummy. I know the bus takes a long time to come some mornings, and that's why we get restless. And that's why we want to rush on board as soon as it does arrive. However, we should try to play it cool. Even if the bus takes forever and ever and ever and ever and ho-hum ever. But just because you may have to wait for the bus, don't arrive at the last minute. You may not be around for long if you pull too many stunts like this one.
Now, whatever you do, don't do that.
Once we're on the bus, some of us like to save a seat for a friend who'll be getting on later. This kind of kid is commonly known as a seat hog.
All right, you two.
He's not only being unfair to the guy he won't give up the seat for, he's being unfair to everyone because he's slowing down the bus driver. The driver doesn't like to start the bus moving until everyone is seated or until everyone who has to stand is holding on tightly. Sudden jerks can cause a fall. You could break a leg and end up in a cast in the hospital. Leaving things in the aisle could put a schoolmate in a cast. Broken bones don't mend quickly, and it's no fun being left out of things till they do. So take it easy and do things the right way. Now, this is more like it. Ripping up the bus is definitely not a smart move. Kids who do it are just plain childish and immature. Repairs cost money, and when there isn't enough money available, everyone has to put up with a mess, all because of some dumb kid. If you're one of those kids, think twice about what you're trying to prove. You gain more respect by being good in sports, or a hobby, or something creative, not destructive. Okay. I just heard somebody say it's boring on the bus when you just have to sit there all cramped up with nothing to do. Because it's so boring, you get restless. Besides, it's a crummy bus anyway. Well, have a look at this. Kids in the old days really had it cramped and crummy when they rode their school bus. They had to sit on dinky benches, and the bus was pulled by horses. By the looks of these ones, they weren't exactly fast horses either. So it took a long while to get to and from school without the comfort of padded seats. So, you're not so bad off after all. Unless, of course, the price of gas keeps going up. And we have to go back to horse and buggy days.
We're going steady about the Great Lakes, and anyone here right there. Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, Lake Huron.
Sticking your head, hands, or arms out the window is a no-no. You're really taking a chance when you do it. You could even lose a limb. If it gets stuffy on the bus, always ask the driver if you may open a window. But after you do, please stay on the inside, because we don't want to lose any part of you. Throwing things out the window isn't very clever. It can and has caused cars to get into serious accidents. So next time you're planning to get rid of your leftover lunch, save it for the garbage pail, not for someone's windshield. Throwing things inside the bus can be dangerous too. Unnecessary noise and fooling around is also distracting. Driving requires a person's full attention. Just like playing baseball requires your full attention. You'd miss a hit if someone decided to bug you at the crucial moment, and you certainly wouldn't catch a fly ball if someone tripped you up just as it was coming in for a perfect landing. The same thing applies to the driver as he approaches a railway crossing. If everyone is carrying on, he may not hear the train. He could also miss a fire engine siren, an ambulance, or other important traffic warnings. If he was startled, he could miss a vital turn, and that could be serious. Very, very serious. Next time you want to fool around on the bus, put yourself in the driver's seat. Imagine how you'd cope with the noise, the distractions, the horseplay, and how you'd concentrate 100% on your driving at the same time. It's pretty unlikely that you'd do all right, because driving is a full-time job, just like catching a fly ball. Does your school have a school bus safety patrol? If the answer is yes, you do yourself a favor by cooperating with the patrol member or members on your bus. They've been trained by the police to act as leaders in emergency situations and to watch out for everyone's safety.
Your second duty is to assist them in getting on and off the bus. This particular aspect will come in more in the wintertime when we have possible icy conditions on the roadway, icy conditions even on the steps. Again, in emergency situations, there's another instance where we have them going out the front and the rear door. Thirdly, is to help maintain good order and behavior on the bus. There you are assisting the bus driver to maintain
Operate this
good order.
extinguisher again.
Say a
you
fire
take it out of
unexpectedly
the-
broke out on the bus. Your patrol member has been taught exactly how to put it out in the shortest possible time.
Release the trigger, but I caution you to aim over top of the fire, then lower it in.
Because crossing the road after leaving the bus can be extremely dangerous, you should always cross with your patrol member if there is one. If there's no school bus safety patrol at your school and you must cross the road, be very careful. Walk 6 paces in front of the bus so the driver can see you. Then, look all ways for cars before you cross. Sometimes cars don't always stop for a school bus, so you have to be on the lookout. If you don't walk 6 paces in front of the bus, the driver can't see you because there is a blind spot right here. These are other blind spots around the bus, and you should keep away from them. If you don't, the driver could start the bus without seeing you, and you could end up looking like a mashed banana. If you're dropped off in town or in the city where there are stoplights, cross at the lights only. Well, I think that just about does it. Remember one thing, though. School bus rules won't do anyone any good but you. They weren't designed for your mother's or father's safety, or your teacher's or principal's safety. They're for your safety. If you're not responsible, and if you keep breaking these rules, you could lose your school bus privileges. Then you'd have to walk to school. That's what happened to Charlie here. He thought he was just a little smarter than everyone else. Now he's paying for it. Don't let that happen to you. Sore feet are definitely not cool. Now that's the way to do it. Well, kids, I've got to split now. I sure hope you're going to be okay on your school bus from now on. See ya, kids!
Well, I had not seen that film before, and that film was awesome. If nothing else, the crash test footage of the 2 school buses colliding into each other is, in a head-on crash, is phenomenal. And this, all the dummies like banging around, wow. Plus the the bus tire rolling over the banana and squishing it. So good. There's some debate in the comments about when this film came out. Some people feel it's late 70s. WorldCat is where I often look for information about films, and WorldCat lists the booklet as being 1983, but I don't know. Who knows? This being a Canadian film and made for a very niche market, they thought. They didn't put a copyright notice on it. So, yeah. This next film, this is a copy that I borrowed from somebody, Jeff Alexander, who does the Academic Film Archive in California, and he puts a lot of films online at archive.org, and I digitized this for him. I have a copy of this film, but it's really beat up for obvious reasons. This is such a great film. It's called Rendezvous. So, it looks like I got bumped off Facebook, maybe. I'm trying to see now. I'm off. Alright, I'm going to stop it and restart it on Facebook. And YouTube was getting constant issues. So, give me a second to restart here. Such an awesome film, that's why I kind of ran with it. I'm sure that Pyramid Media, who distributed the film, is probably actively trying to keep it going. I'm sorry. Trying to get going here. Create posts. No. Go live. It's an awesome film, and it was shot in a car in Paris, downtown Paris. And I'm actively looking for a better copy of my film. Oh. It looks like... Okay. So it looks like I'm back on... That was annoying. So annoying. Bam. Alright. Anyhow, we are back. And I apologize, but not really. That was an awesome film, and I'm happy most of you got to see it. What could I possibly show now that will... let's go ahead and watch this film called Each Child is Different. This is made for teachers, and it's trying to tell us that kids come to school with an amount of baggage from their family life. So here we go.
The first day of the new school year, just a few minutes before the opening of Miss Smith's 5th grade class. Here are the children she will teach, each complex and unique, different in background, abilities, and needs. These differences Miss Smith must discover in the weeks to come if she is to adjust the educational program to meet the needs and characteristics of each child. Let us see what these children are like. What are the influences that shape their lives? This is Robert. Robert may never be captain of the football team, but he will usually be among the first 3 or 4 whom the captain chooses. He is popular with his fellows. In the huddle, the captain calls for a pass. Robert is to be the receiver, an important assignment. And he does very well. Touchdown. Let's follow Robert into his home. For what a child does away from school may be revealing indeed.
would center line of motor path. Hi, Dad.
Hello, son. Looks like it's going to be a nice little plane.
Yes.
Dad knows his son has trouble reading.
Glue in place with center line of motor parallel with center line of fuselage.
Oh, yes. Look, Dad, it goes like this. See?
So this is Robert, socially adjusted, physically capable, mechanically inclined, but a poor reader. What about this girl, Ruth? Ruth's mother died a year and a half ago.
Give George some more beans. Are you tired, brother? I'm tired.
Outside of school hours, a constant routine of marketing, cooking, baby care, dishes, cleaning, the making of beds, and all the other duties of running a household. With it all, Ruth has had to become the mother, though she herself needs a mother most of all. A few moments escape from the bleakness of her life. There is much about Ruth that a teacher needs to know. Here is Mark. Mark is only 11, but he is a competent photographer and can make his own pictures in the darkroom.
Mark, your friends are here waiting for you.
Hi, Mark. Here he is. Let's go. I have to get the compass.
shack. I'll go with you. I know where it is. I'll help you find it, Mark. Okay, let's go.
As usual, Mark leads the way.
28. Pass 28 to 10. 28 again.
We'll make the fire here.
Yes, this is Mark, a natural leader, well-grown, intelligent, and aggressive. How would his teacher find out these things? Elizabeth, an attractive child. What is she thinking about?
All you care about is money. Money, money.
It's clear you don't care about it.
Who takes care of your house and your child?
She's your child, too. Remember?
Oh, I can't stand the sight of you. Get out.
That's the first intelligent idea you've had.
What does this do to a child? How quickly can one forget? And here is John, small for his age.
Please. You want it? Please.
John says he lost the cat, but that doesn't fool his father. His father considers him a complete misfit. He fails at school, he fails at home, he even fails to make friends. It's a whole pattern of failure. How can a man have two sons so different? That no one says anything at a family dinner table in itself says a lot to John, lost and alone among the strangers he calls his family. Who is to blame?
Good morning, boys and girls. As most of you already know, I am Miss Smith, and I want to welcome you on your first day in the 5th grade.
Their first day in the 5th grade. What will this new year bring to both pupil and teacher? We have glimpsed briefly into the lives of 5 of these children. Like all the others, each is a complex and unique pattern, shaped by many influences in his home and community. This Miss Smith knows. She also knows a love for children is not enough, and that it is one of her most important tasks to discover what these influences are. For only in this way can the educational program be adjusted to fit the needs and characteristics of each child. How she proceeds to learn of these needs and characteristics is the subject of Part 2, Discovering Individual Differences.
Yeah, so that film was made for teachers, and it's pretty great. Super melodramatic, and yeah, very thoughtful. So that type of narration was what we call voice of God, VOG, and that's basically you have an omniscient narrator who is bouncing around the world in time and space and can see everything and talks about it and comments on it. And one of the best VOG narrators is the person who did narration for Encyclopedia Britannica. And I showed a film yesterday, Electrodynamics, and they basically used the same dude like over and over and over again from the 30s up to the probably 60s. I think they retired him because not only was he old and probably deserved retirement, but also the technique and teaching changed in the late 60s and 70s, where it wasn't necessarily VOG that was important. To have this disembodied narrator wasn't the teaching style anymore. It was more the people on the screen would be talking to the students, and also the age of the person would try to match whoever the student's age was. So that if the target of the film was kids in elementary school, then you would have elementary school kids who were talking and who were explaining. They were peers, because sometimes it's found that kids will listen to peers more readily than they will to adults, especially for films that deal with, as we saw with the bus safety film, you had kids that were sometimes, they were showing the examples with kids. But in some films, we actually have kids talk, like there's some Lunchroom Manners films. So anyways, this is a long, convoluted way to get to this next film, which I said I was going to try to hunt down yesterday, and I found. It's called The First 50 EBE's Golden Anniversary. And EBE is Encyclopedia Britannica educational films. And the story behind them roughly is that, so Encyclopedia Britannica used to belong to Sears, the catalog company, and then they sold it to the University of Chicago. And about that time is when they realized that educational films were a new means to educate, and there was some money to be made in it. So they acquired some footage from two other companies, from ERPI, E-R-P-I, and from Eastman Teaching Films. And what they would do is repackage those under the Encyclopedia Britannica film brand. And so there's this kind of weird period in the 30s where you'll see them renewed by Encyclopedia Britannica, ERPI Films. But this is the 50th anniversary, which I think was in the 70s. But we get to see the face and get to learn the name of the narrator. So here we go. Here's EBE's Golden Anniversary.
Now it is time for everyone to gather round the breakfast table. And here, as in every phase of life in the little Eskimo dwelling, there is much crowding together. Fine clothing, silks, old manuscripts, works of art. All was vanity, pomp and vanity.
Don't scream, push. You gotta do it on your own. Okay, shoulders are out. Here comes the baby. Here comes the baby, and you have a baby boy. How about that?
Hello, I'm Jim Brill. You have probably heard my voice before because I have narrated hundreds of educational sound films since our company started operations in 1928. You may recall that Thomas Edison was one of the first Americans to work seriously with film. Edison said,
I believe that the imparting of exact information through the motion picture camera will be a matter of course in all of our schools, and that the printed lesson will be largely supplemental and not paramount.
But movies rapidly became entertainment. Although the Eastman Kodak Company made a number of silent educational films, the real potential of film as a communication medium was not apparent until sound brought a new dimension to the motion picture theaters of America. Almost immediately, Western Electric formed a subsidiary company called Electrical Research Products Incorporated, known as ERPI to the trade. In 1928, we started work on educational sound films. I was privileged to be among the first to work in this new medium. It didn't take us long to realize that teachers needed tools they could use in the classroom. To fill this need, we began to produce films like Eskimo Children. By the late 1930s, we were able to plan films in series, and we began to work with the University of Chicago under the sponsorship of its president, Robert Hutchins. Among our distinguished collaborators at the university was the great physiologist Anton J. Carlson, who worked with us on a human biology series that included a film about the heart and circulation. In this film, the sight of a living, beating heart electrified educators everywhere, and this scene, taken from inside the heart of a horse, set a new high for camera technique. The consequent success of our films seemed to promise the end of the company's long struggle to show a profit. In the meantime, William Benton, an advertising innovator, then vice president of the University of Chicago, took over our film company, forming Encyclopedia Britannica Films, EBF as it was called, a sister corporation to his Encyclopedia Britannica. In the meantime, private competition to EBF began to enter the AV field, helping to focus the academic, creative, and commercial forces in the field towards greater classroom effectiveness. But the world of knowledge was also changing. We were at the threshold of the atomic era. Scientists were experimenting with rockets and dreaming of space travel. Then, in 1957, the Soviet Union launched its first Sputnik into orbit, awakening America to the fact that our schools were not geared to handle the knowledge explosion in science. More than that, we expected students to learn many times what we had had to learn, and in the same number of classroom hours that my generation enjoyed. To bridge the gap, the federal government began to support modernization of education, and at long last, with the signing of the National Defense Education Act by President Eisenhower, the first nationwide step had been taken in the recognition of film as a necessary tool for education. Let's take a look at some of the ways this vital medium can contribute to the educational process.
How many children in the world can witness the eruption of a volcano? The motion picture camera enables each of us to participate in events we couldn't otherwise expect to see. For the classroom teacher, film vividly and accurately enriches the experience of students of any age. Does the average classroom house the equipment needed to X-ray the human digestive system? Through the medium of film, classroom students can witness the violent surface of the sun. From a vantage point in the classroom, every student can join the hurricane hunters on a flight into the eye of one of nature's most awesome spectacles, a hurricane.
Okay, according to radar, looks like we got a 20-mile wide eye.
Our altitude is 18,000 feet. Our winds have dropped down now to about 45 to 50 knots, and pressures are falling also.
We're approaching the eye of the storm now. Meteorologists stand by to mark the center.
Or visit a science laboratory to watch water droplets coalesce to form larger raindrops, demonstrating the electrical characteristics of a storm cloud.
Now the two streams are passing through an electrostatic field. The drops coalesce, forming larger drops.
And then, watch in slow motion the exquisite beauty of a raindrop as it falls to earth. The time-lapse camera helps us see things that happen too slowly to perceive otherwise. This remarkable cinemicrography of chromosomes reproducing is from the film Mitosis. Film can take us into space. And we can share many of Darwin's rare observations in the Galapagos Islands that led to his theories of evolution.
The Galapagos Islands have been called the Enchanted Isles. Darwin described them as a world within itself. In their oceanic isolation, the process of natural selection has transformed plants and animals into many unique products of evolution. Most of these life forms are still more or less intact, but will they stay that way?
We can learn life-saving techniques from this film on choking.
Begin with 4 back blows. If unsuccessful, apply 4 abdominal thrusts. Back blows dislodge a foreign body. Abdominal thrusts create air pressure to force it out.
Our mental horizons can be broadened through a film introduction to children of other countries. We can catch the flavor of the entire Middle Ages at Chartres Cathedral, one of the great treasures of Western civilization. We can explain a complex concept in physics through this demonstration of wave action.
Enzymes continue this process until 2 complete molecules of DNA are built up. This is the process of DNA replication.
Animation can help us achieve an accurate mental image of complicated subjects.
Can't make up my
Or simplify for elementary students principles of economics.
Well, why don't you just keep it if you're scared to spend it wrong? And you can buy the right thing when the right thing comes along.
Yeah, that's what I'll try.
Film can capture a child's fancy. And provide multiple language arts experiences. This demonstrates how effectively film can give new dimensions to an already famous short story. The Lady or the Tiger.
All was ready. The signal was given. Now, Half the audience had not known that so grand a youth had lived among them. No wonder the princess loved him. She had done what no other person had done. She had possessed herself of the secret of the doors. Following custom, the youth bowed to the king. She knew in which of the two rooms that lay behind the doors stood the open cage of the tiger, and in which waited the lady.
Which one?
Now, the point of the story is this. Did the tiger come out of that door, or did the lady?
The camera lets us travel into prehistory. From cave paintings to the modern worldwide communications depicted in TV news behind the scenes, educational films continue to bring the world to the classroom.
But behind the camera, and in the control room, lies a world most of us never see.
We got a Bob Miller. Stand by, here we go.
Okay, stand by. 5.
Themes. We'll have to finish better.
The 6 o'clock report in color from the Eyewitness News Team.
That's the motto we adopted at the beginning. Bring the world to the classroom. We thought Edison was a pioneer. Then, when I retired a few years ago, they spoke of me as a pioneer. Along the way, I witnessed many exciting developments, such as the television, the video cassette, along with all the other delivery systems that now exist. As a pioneer in audiovisual education, I would like to use the prerogative of my many years of experience to say we've come a long way. But the pioneering is not yet over. There is still the challenge of the audiovisual revolution.
James Brill, awesome. Yeah, so this film, besides being an anniversary celebration for Encyclopedia Britannica, also was a brochure to talk about how educational film, visual AV materials, augment and make it easier to teach some concepts to kids. And to students. And so this is, why I collect what I collect, because it does show these things. I mean, we think about the example of the Sam on the buses. It showed crash test footage of two buses colliding together. I mean, I'm sure that they got that footage from some government agency that did these tests, but what a phenomenal way to show what would happen if buses collide and what happens inside the bus. It's a very jarring image. And, excuse me, lots of films do that. They pull us out of the dry lecture and show us time-lapse and show us microphotography and show us, edits and all this stuff. So it's really a fascinating thing. And the fact that he worked with Irby back in the 20s, late 20s. Dude was born in like the late 1800s. He was one of the pioneers and did it long before lots of other educational film companies kind of caught up. Now there were, if you look back at the literature, there were educational, quote unquote, educational films that were in distribution in theaters. So there were, in the early distribution of films, there were just these short films that were shown in theaters, short subjects, sometimes shown with a feature film, but sometimes just shown. You would have just showing like nature footage, or some of the most popular stuff, of course, is of disasters that happened at the time. So San Francisco earthquake in the early 1900s is a perfect example of showing, this was what was called an educational film. There's not educational content except that it just shows what was happening. And the most popular thing is the two films that were shot, Trip Down Market Street, which Rick Prelinger has on archive.org, which was basically they put a camera on a streetcar and let it go all the way down Market Street until it got to the ports. Then that was done like 2 weeks before there was this crazy earthquake. Then somebody went back and filmed it again and showing all the destruction. And it was this amazing comparison contrast. Anyways, talk a lot. This is my passion, and I thank you for joining us for our passion. If you would like to reward me for totally geeking out there, you can buy me some coffee. Otherwise, just hit like or subscribe, or you can go to avgeeks.com and see other stuff that we put online. Thank you for bearing with me where I just rode the copyright warnings until they took me off the air for Rendezvous. Hopefully you thought it was worth it. I certainly enjoy that film a great deal. It always gets me very excited because, it's a car that racing through the streets of downtown Paris, and it's awesome. So I'll be back again tomorrow. Everybody have a good rest of your day. And as always, please rewind and love each other. And we will see each other tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Take care.